Fin Health world, borrowing is not simply to receive money from another party with the agreement that the money will be repaid. That doesn't describe borrowing's purpose. Rather, it's usually a mechanism to bring forward future expected cash flows to immediately purchase lifestyle and/or investment assets that you are unable or don't wish to finance from existing savings. If it's a lifestyle item, like a house or a car, it allows you to enjoy the benefits of ownership now, but with a commitment to direct future cash flow to loan repayments. If it's for investing, it enables you to own the investment asset immediately, rather than when cash flow becomes available. Should the value of the asset rise, you'll be better off than had you delayed purchase until funds were available from savings. Of course, if values fall, you will be worse off by bringing forward the purchase. This is the first of two videos that examine three types of borrowing in terms of the FinHealth approach, with a particular focus on the borrowing's impact on the growth asset allocation ratio. The borrowings considered are 1. Borrowing to purchase a home to live in as an alternative to renting. 2. Borrowing for an investment that is expected to be able to be repaid from future cash flow. And 3. A speculative borrowing to purchase a home or investment. That is, one that is partially to totally reliant on the value of the home or investment to repay the borrowing. In this video, we'll look at borrowing to purchase a home in some detail. The next video will use the same approach to consider the other types of borrowings. I hope that the videos will provide a new perspective on borrowing and will help you from unwittingly taking on greater borrowing risk than necessary. Certainly, the trend over the past 30 years has been for Australians to take on increasing amounts of borrowing risk, with many holding more speculative debt than they really appreciate. Hi, I'm John Lesky, recently retired personal financial advisor and founder of FinHealth, a tool to guide you to your financial independence. Now, let's look at the first type of loan. That is, borrowing to purchase a home to live in as an alternative to renting. We'll assume a 35-year-old couple, the Smiths, who wish to retire in 30 years. They're currently renting a 2-bedroom apartment in Sydney for $40,000 a year. Their balance sheet before house purchase is shown on the table on the screen now. Their investment wealth comprises an intended house deposit of $500,000 and superannuation of $400,000. They have no debt outstanding, so net investment wealth is $900,000. After allowing for rent payments, their expected future savings to retirement are about $2 million. Therefore, projected lifetime investment wealth is $2.9 million. That is, current net investment wealth of $0.9 million plus expected future savings of $2 million. The Smith superannuation is held entirely as growth assets, so the current growth asset allocation ratio is growth assets of $400,000 divided by projected lifetime investment wealth of $2.9 million or 13.7%. This compares with their target growth asset allocation of 50% by retirement, indicating a need to increase their growth asset allocation ratio over time. They then purchase a home for $2 million after all costs, financed by the house deposit and borrowings of $1.5 million. The house is superior accommodation to their current 2-bedroom apartment and indicates an increased commitment to lifestyle. Their after home purchase balance sheet is shown now. Increased total assets, reflecting the house purchase, are offset by increased total liabilities. Now, how does the couple's home purchase affect their growth asset allocation ratio? The table shown now reveals the changes from the renting situation. Current net investment wealth is now considerably reduced, from $900,000 to minus $1.1 million, due to the transfer of $2 million to lifestyle assets in the form of the house purchase. So $400,000 of investments, less the home loan of $1.5 million. Estimated future savings also change. The couple no longer need to pay rent, so this will add about $1.2 million, that is $40,000 times 30 years. But there will be additional costs of home ownership, such as rates, building insurance and costs of maintenance. If we assume $10,000 a year for these, they will reduce future savings by $300,000, that is $10,000 times 30 years. So adjusted future savings increase by $0.9 million to $2.9 million. That is an increase of $1.2 million due to rent savings, plus a decrease of $0.3 million for costs of home ownership. Revised projected lifetime investment wealth is now $1.8 million. That is, current net investment wealth of minus $1.1 million plus expected future savings of $2.9 million. Growth assets at $400,000 held as superannuation don't change with the house purchase. Therefore, the revised growth asset allocation ratio is now 22.2%. That is, growth assets of $400,000 divided by projected lifetime investment wealth of $1.8 million. This compares with 13.8% pre-home purchase. So, what does all this mean? Projected lifetime investment wealth has fallen with the home purchase from $2.9 million to $1.8 million, suggesting that house purchase has made the couple worse off. But that's not necessarily the case. The $1.1 million reduction primarily reflects a choice to commit more to lifestyle by purchasing more expensive housing accommodation than offered by their rental apartment. If the Smiths were to purchase a 2-bedroom apartment, similar to that they are currently renting, at a cost of around $1.2 million, projected lifetime investment wealth would likely change little. So, in our example, the growth asset allocation rises not because of an increase in growth assets, but because the house purchase results in more of total wealth now being allocated to lifestyle rather than investment wealth. But what does unambiguously occur with a home purchase is the change in the composition of projected lifetime investment wealth. For the Smiths, current net investment wealth swings from a healthy positive to what may seem an alarming negative, a change of $2 million in our example. But future savings increase to the extent of future rent saved, offset by costs of home ownership. So, house purchase effectively brings forward the future cost of housing accommodation, rather than paying as you go, that is, renting. If you have insufficient savings to purchase a house outright, borrowing is the mechanism that facilitates this transfer of future outgoings. A negative net investment wealth indicates that borrowings exceed investment assets. It's in both a borrower's and lender's interests that the expectation is for future savings to be more than sufficient to repay these borrowings, ideally well before retirement. In our example, net investment wealth of minus $1.1 million should be able to be comfortably repaid from expected future savings of $2.9 million. This allows a surplus of $1.8 million available to accumulate wealth for financial independence and or retirement. The FinHealth personal finance software would assist to assess whether this surplus is sufficient. But should future savings only marginally exceed, or worse still, fall short of such negative net investment wealth, financial independence is clearly unachievable. The lender is heavily relying on the value of the home to ensure repayment. Unfortunately, this describes the position of many retired Australians. It's increasingly common for retirees to have often sizable net debt, that is, borrowings to exceed investments, secured against their home, but with no expected future savings. In terms of the FinHealth framework, this situation indicates poor financial health. A need to sell lifestyle assets to repay outstanding debt isn't consistent with financial independence. Now, most Australians borrow to buy a home because they think it's a good investment. But in economic terms, what they're actually doing is locking in the cost and nature of their future housing accommodation. They're also locking themselves into ensuring their future savings must exceed any borrowings and reducing their flexibility to adjust their housing accommodation as their circumstances inevitably change. Unfortunately, a tax system that's extremely favourable to home ownership makes many blind to the perils of borrowing for home purchase. These perils won't become apparent unless the estimated future savings that support ever-increasing loans prove unrealistic for whatever reason. In the next video, we'll examine the other two types of borrowing mentioned in the introduction to this video. That is, 1, borrowing for an investment that is expected to be able to be repaid from future cash flow, and 2, a speculative borrowing to purchase a home or investment, that is, one that is partially to totally reliant on the value of the home or investment to repay the borrowing. Hopefully, you found this video of interest. I'd like to know what you think. Please provide any comments or questions below. And finally, thanks for watching.